Galen Marek. Galen Marek was born during the Clone Wars to two Jedi, Kento and Mali Marek, who secretly married and left the Jedi Order when Mali became pregnant. After Emperor Palpatine seized power and issued Order 66, the command that triggered the galaxy-wide extermination of the Jedi, the family hid on the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk. Mali died defending Wookiees from Imperial slavers, and the Sith Lord Darth Vader later found their hiding place, killed Kento, and sensed that their son had an extraordinary connection to the Force. Vader took Galen, killed the witnesses, and, though outwardly loyal to Palpatine, began secretly raising the boy as his own apprentice, intending to forge him into a weapon to overthrow the Emperor. Renamed Starkiller, Galen spent nearly 2 decades aboard Vader's flagship, enduring brutal training meant to make him draw power from fear, anger, and hatred. His training droid Proxy was programmed to attack him with lethal intent, yet also became one of his few true friends and companions. As Vader's secret assassin, in 3 BBY, Vader gave Starkiller his first major test to kill Jedi Master Rom Koda above the planet Nar Shaddaa and assigned him a new pilot, Captain Juno Eclipse. Koda had survived Order 66 by fighting with his own militia rather than the clone soldiers who turned on the Jedi. Starkiller was able to defeat Koda in his first duel against a real Jedi, but the fight produced strange visions. Koda glimpsed Starkiller's future, and Starkiller briefly saw his forgotten father's face. Despite this, Koda was presumed killed during the encounter. Starkiller's next target was located on the junk world of Raxus Prime. There, Starkiller killed Kazdan Paratus, a droid builder who had constructed a replica of the Jedi Temple from scrap. He was then sent to the jungle world of Felucia to kill Shaak Ti, a former member of the Jedi High Council. He fought her across the body of a massive living Sarlacc and overpowered her with Force lightning. As she died, she warned that Starkiller was only Vader's slave and that the Sith always betray one another. After this encounter, Vader declared the time had come to move against Palpatine, but Palpatine's spies had already exposed Vader's secret apprentice. To prove his loyalty, Vader impaled Starkiller and threw him into space, then secretly recovered and rebuilt his body. When Starkiller woke following the betrayal, Vader gave him a new plan: pretend to break from the Empire and build a rebel movement to distract the Emperor while still secretly serving Vader. Starkiller escaped, freed Juno, told her he was done with the Empire, and set out to find the apparently still alive Rom Koda, hoping the old Jedi could mentor him and assist him in forming the rebellion against the Empire. He found Koda on Bespin, blind, drunk, and broken. After some convincing, Koda agreed to join him, revealing a contact within the Imperial Senate. That contact led Starkiller to Kashyyyk, the world where he was hidden as a child, to rescue Princess Leia Organa. There, near his old family home, a Force vision finally revealed the truth: that he was Galen Marek, son of a Jedi Vader had murdered. Though shaken, he completed his mission by convincing Leia Organa to leave the planet by destroying a nearby slaving structure, and after the mission, Koda revealed that his Senate contact was Bail Organa, Leia's father, who required their assistance. Returning to Felucia, Starkiller rescued Bail from Maris Brood, Shaak Ti's former apprentice who had fallen to the dark side. Recognizing how closely her path mirrored his own, Starkiller spared her life. Despite the assistance of and pleas from Starkiller, Organa argued that open rebellion was still too dangerous against the Empire. Starkiller contacted Vader for a target he could destroy to prove to hesitant rebel leaders that the Galactic Empire was vulnerable, and Vader sent him to destroy a Star Destroyer shipyard above Raxus Prime. It was from eavesdropping on this call that Juno discovered Starkiller still answered to Vader, but she chose to keep fighting with him and keep his secret, as she was convinced the rebellion depended on him. And so she put her trust in Galen. Using a massive surface cannon on Raxus Prime, Starkiller was able to destroy the shipyard. Convinced by this act, the rebel leaders gathered on Corellia to sign the Corellian Treaty, the founding agreement of the Alliance to restore the Republic, with Starkiller as its force-wielding figurehead. Yet, this moment proved to be a trap. Vader arrived, revealed Starkiller as his secret apprentice, and admitted he had never intended to move against the Emperor. Starkiller had been an unwitting tool to lure the rebellion's leaders into one place. Starkiller was nearly killed, saved only by Proxy's intervention, and fell wounded from a cliff, where Juno found him in the snow and rescued him, as the rebel leaders were kidnapped and taken to the Emperor. Reclaiming his name, Galen committed to becoming a Jedi and confessed his love for Juno. He infiltrated the Death Star, the Empire's incomplete superweapon, to free the captured rebel leaders and fought his way through the facility until an encounter with Vader, beginning a final duel where he defeated his former master. Palpatine urged him to kill Vader and take his place, but Galen refused and turned on the Emperor instead. When Palpatine unleashed a torrent of Force lightning at Rom Koda and the fleeing rebels, Galen stepped into the direction of the blast, absorbed it, then directed it as a massive shockwave that killed the surrounding Imperial forces and mortally wounded himself. His last thoughts were of Juno, as he whispered his true name and died, becoming one with the Force. Vader, realizing Palpatine had always meant to replace him, resolved to find another Force-sensitive apprentice to truly overthrow his master. For the rebels, Galen became a martyr. As rebel leaders gathered on Kashyyyk, they adopted the Marek family crest as the symbol of the Rebel Alliance. When Juno asked Koda whether he had always known Galen was the assassin who once tried to kill him, Koda said yes, but that beneath all the darkness, he had seen one bright thing that never left Galen until the end, and that thing was Juno. Lord Starkiller. In the alternate ending of The Force Unleashed, after defeating Darth Vader, Galen was tempted by Darth Sidious to finish Vader off and take his place as Sidious's new apprentice. In an attempt to stop the Emperor from pulling Galek toward the dark side, Master Koda snatched Sidious's lightsaber from his sleeve and struck at him, but was easily overwhelmed by the Emperor. Faced with a choice between vengeance and redemption, Galen hurled himself at Vader and renewed his attack. Vader was then beaten and slain by Galen. When Galen returned to Sidious, the Emperor gave him one last test of his loyalty to the dark side: to kill Master Koda and cut his final bond to the Jedi. Galen, however, spun to strike at Sidious, who had anticipated the betrayal. The Emperor blocked the attack and threw Galen across the room, then seized the rogue shadow and brought it crashing down on him, leaving him mortally wounded and disfigured. Galen woke on a surgical table to find himself encased in the same menacing armor worn by the Sith warrior he had once seen at the Jedi Temple. The Emperor told him he would be kept alive only until a new apprentice could be found, and until then he would carry out the Emperor's orders and assassinate his enemies. Granting him the title Lord Starkiller, the Emperor sent him on a series of missions. One of the most important took him to Tatooine in search of the stolen plans for the Death Star, which were hidden inside an astromech droid. The hunt led him to the palace of Jabba the Hutt, whose network of spies offered reliable intelligence. Forcing his way inside, Starkiller was set upon by several of Jabba's Gamorrean guards, but he cut them down with ease. Impressed, Jabba allowed him into his throne room, and Starkiller explained that he was looking for the droid and promised Imperial payment for any information, but he soon realized Jabba was deceiving him. Before Starkiller could react, Jabba triggered a hidden door that dropped him into a pit holding a Rancor. Starkiller killed the monster with ease and battled through Jabba's forces. Upon reaching the hangar, the renowned bounty hunter Boba Fett confronted Starkiller, announcing that he meant to collect the price Jabba had just put on Starkiller's head. Fett was a dangerous foe who had battled both Jedi and Sith alike over his long career, but even his skills weren't a match for the Sith assassin, and Starkiller killed him. Starkiller then tracked the droid he was looking for to Mos Eisley, reaching the hangar where the Millennium Falcon was preparing to escape with the droid. However, as he attempted to stop the ship, he was confronted by Obi-Wan Kenobi, Vader's former teacher. Eager to finally destroy the man who had once trained Vader, Starkiller fought Obi-Wan in a fierce duel. Starkiller defeated Obi-Wan, destroying his mortal form in the thrusters of the Falcon. As he again tried to keep the Falcon from escaping, he was then confronted by Obi-Wan's Force Ghost. Drawing on his wide array of Force abilities, Starkiller destroyed the apparition with just enough time to plant an Imperial tracking device on the Millennium Falcon's hull as it escaped. About 3 years after the events on Tatooine, Starkiller led the 501st Legion, an elite Imperial stormtrooper unit, against the rebel forces on Hoth. Battling through Wampa Caves and into the Rebels' Echo Base, Starkiller was confronted by Luke Skywalker, a Rebel commander and Vader's son. Aided by the spirit of Obi-Wan, Luke had become a powerful Jedi Knight since leaving Tatooine, developing great strength in the Force and skill with a lightsaber. As they dueled, Luke released a pack of Wampas to attack Starkiller and fled to the hangar to help the Millennium Falcon escape. Starkiller pursued, and the two continued their duel. Pinned beneath Starkiller with a lightsaber at his throat, Luke was forced to hear the truth that Vader was his father and that Starkiller was the one who had murdered him. Enraged, Luke threw Starkiller across the hangar and unleashed a torrent of dark-side power on the Sith. Eventually, Starkiller severed Luke's right hand and used the Force to hold the Falcon in place as it attempted to flee the hangar. Starkiller taunted Luke, saying only his hatred would let him save his friends from death. Luke blasted Starkiller with Force Lightning, breaking Starkiller's hold on the Falcon, giving it the opportunity to escape. Starkiller then informed Luke he would be taking him as his apprentice. The rest of Lord Starkiller's story remains untold. Subject 1138. Subject 1138, informally called Starkiller, was a clone of Galen Marek. After Marek's death, Vader took his body to Kamino, a world famous for its cloning technology, and secretly ordered the creation of Force-sensitive clones. The Kaminoan cloners grew mature clones quickly through accelerated aging, but the Force disrupted the process, leaving the early clones unstable and prone to a condition where they would have a breakdown as a result of Marek's implanted memories blurring with their own, leaving them confused about who they really were. After many failures, Vader was able to create and train several promising specimens, including Subject 1138, as he hoped to produce a true successor to the original Starkiller. Vader tested the clone Starkiller with cruel extremes, once even forcing him to survive 13 days without food or water by drawing on the Force. Vader then told him that Rom Koda had been captured on the world of Cato Neimoidia, and that his final test would be to kill the Jedi. However, during an exercise against droids disguised as rebels, the last one appeared as Juno Eclipse, the rebel officer the original Starkiller had loved, and he found he could not strike her down. Vader destroyed the imitation himself and declared the clone a failure. Realizing he would be discarded like the others, and driven by the inherited memories of Vader's betrayal and his love for Juno, Starkiller turned on Vader, blasted his way out of the Kamino facility, stole Vader's personal starfighter, and escaped the planet, determined to find Juno. Believing Koda could lead him to Juno, Starkiller followed Vader's information to Cato Neimoidia, where the stolen ship caused him to initially be mistaken for Vader himself. Once exposed, he fought his way to the battle arena where Koda was being held and arrived just as the Gorog, an enormous creature, was unleashed. While Koda slipped away to pursue the local Imperial official Baron Tarko, Starkiller battled the Gorog, eventually killing it mid-freefall before the Rogue Shadow arrived on autopilot and carried Koda and Starkiller from the collapsing arena. Aboard the ship, Starkiller expected to find Juno, but learned from Koda that the Rebel fleet had scattered and her location was unknown. Koda urged Starkiller to join the rebellion and use his knowledge of Kamino to help destroy Vader's cloning operation, as he dismissed Starkiller's belief that he was a clone, since Koda still thought Force-sensitive cloning was impossible. Starkiller refused to commit, insisting that finding Juno and understanding his own identity came first. Frustrated, Koda gave him the Rogue Shadow and demanded to be dropped off at the nearest spaceport. After leaving Koda, Starkiller chased his visions across several worlds, eventually arriving at Dagobah, a remote swamp planet. There he met the exiled Jedi Grand Master Yoda, who directed him into the Dark Side Cave. Inside, a vision showed him Juno being attacked aboard a rebel ship called the Salvation. Following Yoda's advice to trust the vision, Starkiller reunited with Koda and made his way to the Salvation. Once aboard the Salvation, Starkiller gave Koda an encrypted data device holding vital information on the Kamino facilities as the ship came under attack. Fighting through Imperial forces, they found the bridge devastated and Juno missing, with Proxy revealing she had been taken toward the docking bays. Sadly, Starkiller reached the hangar just in time to see Boba Fett escape with her aboard his ship. Enraged, he demanded that Koda launch a rebel attack on Kamino. When the rebel fleet reached Kamino, the assault faltered, as the Empire had anticipated the strike and a defensive shield over Chimera City blocked the landing pads. Starkiller ordered the Salvation abandoned and steered it on a collision course with the shield generator, riding it down through the shield as it broke apart and destroyed the generator. As this happened, he tore away the front of the ship with the Force and escaped, allowing him to survive the crash. He then fought through the cloning facility, aided Koda's troops, and reached the facility's cloning spire where he dueled Vader and several faulty clones of himself. Following the initial duel, and now at the top of the spire, Starkiller discovered Vader holding Juno hostage. Vader attempted to exploit Starkiller's feelings for her to turn the clone back to the dark side and use him to hunt down the rebel leaders. Juno, however, resisted Vader and attempted to fight back. As a result, Vader seemingly killed her, driving Starkiller into a Force-infused rage, leading to a furious duel across a lightning-charged rooftop. Starkiller eventually bested Vader by channeling Kamino's natural lightning into a devastating attack that defeated the Sith Lord. Though tempted to kill him, Starkiller spared Vader at Koda's urging and took him prisoner. He then rushed to Juno and discovered she had miraculously survived. He chose to remain with her and the rebellion, and as the rogue Shadow fled Kamino with the rebel fleet and Vader, Boba Fett's ship secretly tracked them from the wreckage. The Dark Apprentice. The Dark Apprentice was another clone of Galen Marek, made as part of Darth Vader's effort to produce a perfect obedient replacement for his fallen apprentice. Many Starkiller clones had come before him, but each had failed because of physical defects, mental instability, or an inability to overcome Marek's emotional attachments, above all his love for Juno. However, unlike the failed clones, the Dark Apprentice learned to separate those implanted memories from his own identity. He rejected Marek's compassion and embraced contempt for his Teplet's perceived weakness. In a decisive training exercise, he struck down a holodroid disguised as Juno Eclipse, proving he had conquered the emotional flaw that had ruined the others. Vader planned to use the coming rebel attack on Kamino as the clone's final test, ordering him to wait until Vader lured the renegade Starkiller into a trap where the Dark Apprentice would kill Starkiller when Starkiller went to strike down Vader. But this plan failed. Starkiller defeated Vader, but chose not to kill him, partly because he had already foreseen a vision in which the Dark Apprentice killed him the moment he struck Vader down. With Starkiller sparing Vader and the Sith Lord taken prisoner, the Dark Apprentice never entered the battle. However, in an alternate dark side ending, the renegade Starkiller did in fact choose to kill Vader, but before he could, a lightsaber blade burst through his chest. The hooded Dark Apprentice, having used a cloaking device that rendered him invisible, was revealed as the attacker. He then defeated Rom Koda in a brief duel before using the Force to choke the general and hurl him and several rebel troopers into the ocean below, while Terror troopers cut down the rest of the Alliance. With the rebel assault repelled, Vader praised his new apprentice for passing his final test, and Vader ordered him to take the rogue Shadow and hunt down the surviving rebels scattered across the galaxy. As he left, the Dark Apprentice glanced at Juno Eclipse's lifeless body and, feeling nothing for her, raised his hood and departed. Years later, the remnants of the Rebel Alliance attacked the second Death Star above the forest moon of Endor, pushing back Imperial forces and reaching the bunker housing the shield generator with the help of the Ewoks. Vader sent the Dark Apprentice to deal with the threat while he remained aboard the battle station with Emperor Palpatine. Landing on Endor, the clone fought through rebel soldiers and Ewoks toward the bunker where, at its entrance, he was confronted by the smugglers Han Solo and Chewbacca, the latter manning a commandeered AT-ST. The clone killed them both and pressed into the bunker, cutting down rebels and Imperials alike. Deep inside, the apprentice met Leia Organa, who had become a Jedi after her twin brother's death on Hoth. The two dueled, with Organa trying to turn the compound's machinery against the apprentice, but he repeatedly got the better of her, driving the fight onto the bunker's roof. Though impressed by her skill, he inevitably overpowered and killed her. Aboard the Death Star, Palpatine savored the Imperial victory, then revealed to Vader that he had known of the Dark Apprentice's existence all along. Palpatine threatened to kill Vader for plotting against him, and when Vader ignited his lightsaber to strike, Palpatine forced him to his knees with a torrent of Force lightning before ordering Imperial forces to destroy the clone on Endor. As the Dark Apprentice meditated near Organa's body, he sensed the arrival of several Star Destroyers, as he prepared himself for another confrontation. Dark Reflection. Shortly after rescuing Rom Koda, the original Starkiller felt an inexplicable pull drawing him to the ruins of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Years of brutal Sith training under Vader had buried his earliest memories of his childhood, his father, and the life taken from him, and the search for answers led him into the heart of the old Jedi Council. Inside the temple's Tower of First Knowledge, he discovered a holocron with a guide which appeared in the form of his father and urged him to complete the Jedi Trials. As Starkiller worked through the trials, they eventually drew him into a deep vision within his own mind, where he came face to face with a dark reflection of himself, a pale, cybernetic warrior twisted and consumed by the dark side. Yet, the figure wasn't just a manifestation of darkness, but a vision of a potential future, one in which Starkiller had replaced Vader as Palpatine's apprentice and fully surrendered himself to the dark side. Their duel grew increasingly savage, until a strike from Starkiller knocked the warrior's helmet away, and Starkiller was stunned to discover the face staring back at him was his own, pale and scarred, with eyes that reflected total immersion in the dark side. As the fight continued, the figure shifted between its armored Sith form and the appearance of a Starkiller dressed in the ceremonial robes given to fallen Jedi Knights. Despite the relentless assault, Starkiller ultimately won the duel, running the warrior through the abdomen with his lightsaber. The figure's body vanished in a flash of light, and Starkiller found himself back in the chamber where he had first found the holocron. But when he looked down at his hand, he saw not his own. The skin was pale, and the fingers clawed, identical to the Sith warriors. A voice echoed around him, declaring that he would never escape his dark fate. Soulcalibur IV. In the game Soulcalibur IV, Galen Marek, known in the game only as the Apprentice, was given a new order by Vader after completing one of his missions. A gate to another dimension had opened in nearby space, and the Apprentice was sent ahead as a vanguard to investigate and identify the surge of power causing the disturbance. Reaching the dimensional rift, he entered the portal without hesitation. In that other dimension, he encountered several opponents as he fought his way to obtain two swords of great power, Soul Edge and Soulcalibur. The Apprentice then fought and struck down Algol, the wielder and guardian of the two blades, but returned to Vader without either sword, having judged them both to be of no worth. Angered that his apprentice would presume to make such a decision himself, Vader force-choked him, prompting the apprentice to reach for his lightsaber. Sensing the apprentice's defiance, Vader released him, and the two drew their weapons to duel. The story closes with a line saying that how he lived and where he traveled from there was a tale for another day. The Aberrant Clones. The Aberrant Clones were the genetically flawed clones of Galen Marek. Vader's scientists copied Marek's genetic code for these clones, but ran into repeated problems while trying to duplicate a Force-sensitive template. The earliest test subjects came out physically deformed and were driven mad by the inherited memories of Starkiller. The lead cloning technician gradually refined the process and produced a new batch that physically resembled Marek as he had looked at his death, but these two suffered identity crises caused by the very memory flashes meant to aid their training. In the end, the Aberrant Clones were kept in suspended animation within the cloning facility on Kamino, while Vader personally oversaw the training of any clone that showed promise, discarding each failure as he searched for one who met his expectations. For all their genetic flaws, the Aberrant Clones still carried Marek's powerful connection to the Force, but the psychological damage of the cloning process meant they could never wield his abilities in a focused, disciplined way, meaning some were stronger with specific Force attacks such as lightning or telekinetic pushes, while others could only fight with their dual lightsabers. When Subject 1138 infiltrated the facility, he was confronted by Vader and the Aberrant Clones. Until then, he had not believed any clones existed before him, and the sight of his imperfect brothers forced him to accept that he was indeed a clone and the original Starkiller was truly dead, exactly as Vader had said. In the clones, 1138 sensed only hate, rage, and a desire to kill, along with a deep confusion over their identities. Despite sharing Marek's Force sensitivity, none could beat 1138 in open battle. As the assault on Kamino ended in a decisive rebel victory, the clone Starkiller rescued Juno Eclipse and defeated Vader, who was taken into rebel custody. Even in success, he remained troubled by what he had done to the Aberrant Clones. For all their differences from him and from one another, they shared the same traits as Galen Marek to varying degrees, and so Starkiller came to wrestle with guilt over killing them, an act he saw as a kind of fratricide, since they were all genetic copies of the same man. LEGO Starkiller. In the game LEGO Star Wars III: The Clone Wars, Galen Marek, named Vader's apprentice, can be unlocked and bought once his minifigure canister has been fully built. He can double jump and strike enemies with Force Lightning. What other lore videos would you like to see? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to the next video with all of you.